fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. Been off for a little bit. I'm back, and we got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Going to cover a lot of things. I'm going to continue on with this 60 minutes office time. Anything that I think management's trying to do to implement a 22-minute load time, whatever they're attempting to do, like these wire cages, I'm going to keep going after it. All right? I'm just going to take place of your business agent since they're not doing anything. So we'll do it here. All right? See, too many questions being asked on social media still, after all this time, still about these things. And that means that the business agents aren't getting out in the field and educating their members. And that's all that is. They're not making sure that the members are being educated. That's all it is. Anybody that's still asking questions about 22-minute load time, hour office time, any of those things, that means that the business agent's office have failed in that region. That's why I keep saying when I'm business agent, every member will be educated. It's just going to happen. And so I just get tired of it. I get tired of getting on social media and there's somebody saying, hey, I'm a little bitty station down here in so-and-so, and has anybody heard of this 22-minute load time? You'll have people defend National feverishly about that, about it's not their fault. It is 100% their fault, 100%. First off, these things were signed into existence. We knew management was going to bastardize these things. Renfro even said that this happens. It should have never happened. It did, but it's on us now. So we're just going to start educating here, all right? And we're going to do that. Whatever comes up, we're going to address it on From 8 Arbitration, right? A lot of things we're going to get into today. I'm going to talk about the tale of two business agents. A couple of people sent me some emails from their business agent to district. This business agent goes full beast mode on this district manager. It's one of the more beautiful things you'll ever see. Full beast mode. And I said a couple of weeks ago, business agents, if y'all want this to end, if y'all want to get ahead of all this and stop it, you have the power to do that. You have the power to stop these things. And unfortunately, too many business agents are set to retire. They don't care. They're not going to get in this fight. It's too much of a headache. You got some young lions in there that are going to do it, and I'm going to read you an email from one of them. But too many business agents they're trying to buy their time and they get voted out this next election to get those 2 extra years of retirement, and carriers be damned, getting by the wayside. we're just cast by the wayside with these business agents that are they're looking to retire, and so they're going to screw us. And I'll show you that as well. I'm going to end on an article written by somebody at National. Bizarre, come out of left field, completely bizarre. And the issue I had with it is, I mean, the whatever you want to write, what is what you want to write. I don't care. But this person has never paid a penny in union dues. It's somebody that Renfro has hired from the outside to come in here. Going to try to lecture me and you, people that have actually done the work, on things that piss her off. And so I have a hard time listening to anybody lecture me when they've never put on a uniform, they've never dropped one bead of sweat delivering mail, have never slipped on the first porch in the winter delivering a package, have never paid 1 cent in union dues, have never been on that floor for 1 second dealing with anybody in management. It's no different than a CCA coming in and going in as a 204B within a week and telling me how I should do my job. I pay that about as much attention, right? And so, I'll read that lastly, and we'll talk about that a little bit because the article was bizarre, but the way she was going was bizarre. the thing, what she was addressing was bizarre. And so we'll talk about that a little bit, all right? CLC, concerned letter carriers. That's the one I'm going to be on the ticket, right? As a business agent, I'm not going to be an officer on that ticket. I've already said I'm not moving anywhere. My family is here, and so I will not be an officer. I'm going to be on that ticket as a business agent. If you want to know what that ticket is about, then we'll need to wait for the president to be announced who is going to be running on that ticket, and I'll have them on, and they'll tell you exactly their position. All right? I can't tell you their position because I'm not the president. I can tell you what I'm going to do as a business agent, and I've said it over and over again. I can tell you that. But as far as what this ticket is going to be, who is going to be on it, I'll let the president tell y'all that himself or herself. All right? We'll do that. As far as donating to the CLC, a lot of people are talking about that. I'm not going to donate to a ticket. I don't know who's on it. I get that. I promise you I do. I understand that completely. But too many people have reached out to me about how they can help. And so, therefore, I put out the information on how you can donate to the CLC. A lot of people have talked about donating to me. I will not have that. I've already said that. Donate to the CLC. That will help me. And so I'm going to be the next business agent of Region 8. I know that for a fact that's going to happen. But it takes a lot of money. You have two major mailings. I do know that. And those things take money because you got to mail things to everybody in the region and every carrier in the country. And so that does take a little bit of money. And so, to get these things up and running, it takes some cold, hard cash, unfortunately. So when I put that out there about donating, that was for those who had already reached out and expressed interest in donating to the CLC, okay? And so if you're wanting to wait until you hear the ticket, I get that completely. Wait until the ticket comes out, who's going to be on the ticket, and then if you feel like donating at that time, we'd appreciate it, all right? But that is the ticket I'm going to be on, is the CLC, Concerned Letter Carriers. But like I said, I had no interest in doing any of this when I first started, and then I saw kind of where the problem lies. And management is management. They will never change. They will never change. They're dishonest. They steal from us. They lie to us. You have the worst of the worst in management. I know who they are. I've dealt with them for so long. At every level, I've dealt with management, and all of them are dishonest. And so I know who they are. I just didn't understand fully the incompetence of my union until I started this, unfortunately. And now you see it rear its head through these charges, through them letting our president off with some of the more disgustingly immoral things that you can deal with when you talk about womanizing and things like that. And alcoholism, set that aside. I've already talked about that. I don't know why I'm getting into this, but alcoholism, set that aside. We will deal with that. Like I said, we protect those carriers that dealing with that demon of alcoholism, and that is a demon. It is a beast, and I've seen it wreck lives. And those things can be forgiven. Now, if you know that you're going to be the next man up in this union, you should have gone long before to get that handled, rather than getting caught and then getting it handled. That takes a level of maturity to say, hey, look, I'm going to be the next man up in this union. The president is underhandedly going to put me in there, and it's going to take a lot of people by surprise. I need to show my maturity, that I'm ready for this. I'm going to go ahead and check myself in. That didn't happen. He got caught and then goes in. And, of course, that's what carriers do as well. You know, if they get caught, I tell them, hey, go into AP immediately. But I just think it takes a level of maturity that he doesn't have. And it's the post-charge conduct. That's what gets me every time. It's the post-charge conduct. It's his inability to be truthful still, inability to be remorseful. And I think that speaks volumes as far as a gentleman's integrity. And I want my president to have integrity. Look, I get union. Union is a beast. It's a monster, right? You watch any movie deals with union, there are things that go on. I get that. I understand that. But when you get in front of people, I need to know that you have integrity. that I can trust what you're saying to me. Whatever you want to do behind the scenes, that's your business. I need to know that I can trust you, what you tell me, and that is out the door. That's out the window. I can't trust this guy as far as I can throw him. And so that's where I'm at there, and that's the reason that I have, thrown my hat into the ring. I can't tell y'all, pick up the flag. We're going running, and me standing in the back cheering y'all on. I can't do that. Can't do that. And that's the reason I said, hey, I'm going to be the next business agent of Region 8. We're going to right this ship before I retire. We're going to get this thing back to how it used to be with Mr. Sombrado, the greatest president we've ever had. And so we will make sure that we're going to get this thing righted. And I'll make sure of that. I'll make sure of that. I cannot stand to see my union like it is right now. So anyway, with all that said, that's the reason I was talking about CLC. Build a Fighting NALC. That Zoom meeting will be the 2nd, June 2nd. I'll have all those links up for you on Reddit and Discord from 8 Arbitration. I'll put those links up for you. Y'all tune into that. That's a great movement. It's another movement that we have, right? It's individuals saying, hey, look, we hadn't been here for 20 years like a lot of y'all, 15 years. We're kind of a new crowd. But we want our union to fight for us, and good for you. Good for you. Good for that movement. They want transparency. A lot of people don't, as crazy as that is. A lot of people don't want transparency. I don't understand. I want you to be transparent with me if you're getting a lot of my money. I want to know what you're doing. I'll talk about that in just a second. But Building a Fighting NALC is next Sunday, June 2nd. So get on there. Check it out, okay? Tyler Vassar, who kind of heads that thing up, sharp individual. That young man's going to go places. Sharp individual. I've had him on here, matter of fact, and very impressive. And he gets it. He wants his union to be a bunch of fighters, and I like that. The 31st, I'm going to interview Mr. Noble. Mr. Noble will be on here. A lot of questions already, but if you want to ask a question to him, get them to me, all right? The 31st, that's going to happen. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to put that up on the 31st or if I'm going to wait till Sunday, the 2nd, and put that up, okay? So either way, the 31st, he's going to be on here, and we're going to talk a long time, and he's going to answer a lot of questions. Some are out there. But he said he'll answer all of them, so there are some that are something. And so y'all make sure y'all don't miss the 2nd, because Mr. Noble is going to be under the spotlight, and we'll have a good time of it. Renfro sat on here for 3 hours and answered questions, and I commended him on that. And whoever the next president, whoever the CLC picks is going to be president, that's going to be the next president of the NALC, whoever the CLC picks. There's no doubt about it. Too many people are tired of the status quo, and so that's going to change. But I'll have them on, all right, and they'll do the same thing. We'll get a bunch of questions and ask them, what's your position? Where do you stand on certain things? I think that's important. I think that's important for y'all to know. I don't think you should ever vote for anybody because I said so or so-and-so said so. Listen for yourself. Choose, decide for yourself, right? And so Mr. Noble, the 31st. Again, I don't know if I'm going to put that up on that Friday or wait till that Sunday. May go ahead and put it up on Friday. I don't know. But, and then after that, maybe the next Sunday, I'm going to have business agent of Region 2. And somebody reached out to me and said, hey, you're killing his name. This is how you say his name. So I appreciate that individual reaching out to me. But it's Mr. Vafiades. And I even when I was saying it, I said, I know I'm killing this name, so I apologize. But Mr. Vafiades will be on maybe the week after. Okay, so next week, Mr. Noble, maybe the next week, Mr. Vafiades. We've talked, and so he's ready to get on here, and he wants to tell why he voted the way he did. And so I challenged all of them. And I even said, hey, if you want to record it, send me the recording, and I'll put that on here. But he said he wants to be on here himself, and so I'll give him that. I don't know whether Mr. Mudd's going to be on here or not. We talked a little bit. I think somebody said that they had talked to him the other day, and he said he would. So I don't know when I'll reach back out to him, or he can reach out to me, and we'll get it on as well, right? And so if anybody else wants to get on here, let me know. Let me know. I'll get you on here. I promise. We'll have a good time of it, man. Look, I'm not an asshole. I know a lot of people think matter of fact, when anybody who meets me, they're like, "You're not at all like you are on the podcast. You're a really nice guy." I am a nice guy. I'm a real nice guy, and I'll treat them with respect. That's just who I am. That's how I am. I do that with management. When I meet with upper management, when I meet with local management, I always treat them with respect. Unless they choose for me not to do that. And we'll go however they want to go. But even as a shop steward, you will not know that I'm the shop steward if you walk into my station. I'm not vocal. Now, sometimes I get stand-up talks when I get very vocal. But when I'm meeting with at the local level, very respectful. If I meet with district managers, very respectful unless I catch them lying like I have before. Heads of labor, very respectful. When I was on the National Safety Committee, very respectful. I think that speaks volumes for who I worked for at that time, the NELC. I don't think that we should go in there acting a fool. And but if it calls for that, then absolutely that's where we will go. And I'm just as adept at that as I am being cordial and polite, right? When you talk about building a fighting NELC, when you talk about transparency, somebody sent me this, and I wanted to read it to you because it makes no sense to me. And that doesn't mean anything. Like I said, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. It was the takeaways from the national officer meeting, I think it was in Green Bay. And we're talking about open bargaining, transparency. And this is what they said. And like I said, they can come on here and explain this. I don't get it. Now, Renfro has said a reason why they're not wanting to do it. Barner has said a reason why they're not wanting to do it. Both of them are completely different. Here's another reason why they're not wanting to do it. And it doesn't make sense. So y'all help me here. I'm going to try to see if I can make sense of it. It says, remember that we need to hear both sides. We don't want people to know what we are negotiating, people like Congress. Our actions and comments are monitored online, and it could be devastating for us. Remember, Congress can pull our bargaining rights. Also, the large mailers that ship through us can't know. There's a real room for interference of outside parties we openly negotiate. It is because of these interferences that things are kept closed. They try their best, and remember, unless it goes entirely through arbitration, we all get a vote in the end. We are not a corporation and not have the ability to strike like they do. That is what the National Convention is for, to take resolutions to the bargaining table. Now, that was their reasoning for not having open bargaining. And let's go over it again. Remember that we need to hear both sides. We don't want people to know what we are negotiating. People like Congress. Our actions and comments are monitored online, and it could be devastating for us. Remember, Congress can pull our bargaining rights. Okay? Let's address that, because I don't get it. And like I said, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Here's my problem. Here's my problem with that. We don't have the right to strike. We can't strike, okay? If I, as a union, come out and say, I'm the president of the union, okay? And I come out in open bargaining and I say, I'm requesting what I want from my carriers is $1,000 an hour. That's what I want. I want to get my carriers $1,000 an hour, and we're not going to settle for a penny less. $1,000 an hour. Now, if you say that, people will look at you as though you're crazy. But they will not intervene. Congress will not intervene. Do you know why? Because we have collective bargaining. That is why. Congress will not say, that president's lost his damn mind. We're going to pull their rights as a union. We're going to whatever as a union. We're going to strip them of their ability to collectively bargain. Why will they not do that? Because at the end of the day, the Postal Service can say, we're not doing that. We're going to go through interest arbitration. And the arbitrator will look at both sides, the packets that both sides have built themselves. The union, going through all these other unions that do like work. How much the Postal Service has made. How much spending they do. To me, I don't know what else is involved in that. I would say it's a federal government job. You have a lot of fat in the Postal Service. For every 10 carriers, you have 2 managers. That's excessive. I believe 30 years ago, it was a manager per every 20 carriers. I think it's 1 per every 10 now. If I'm not mistaken, I think somebody sent me that the other day. Too much fat. We can cut that away. There are things the Postal Service can do if they're saying that they're in a free fall financially. Our package business is roaring. We've always lost first-class mail ever since the internet. That shouldn't strike anybody as something that is concerning. We've kind of leveled that a little bit. But to say that Congress will get involved if they know what we're asking for, to me, is asinine. Because at the end of the day, the Postal Service, if we say we want $50 an hour, they can say, we can't give you that. If we say we want $1 million an hour, they're going to say, we can't give you that. What happens when that goes south? We go to arbitration. An arbitrator is going to look at both sides and tell us what we're going to get. So to get up there and act like we're all fools, to say, if we tell y'all what we're bargaining for, people are listening. People are looking. Congress may hear. Who gives a shit? Who cares? We have collective bargaining. The Postal Service, now, if they agreed to $1 million an hour, they may get involved and say, hang on just a second, something fishy's going on. You can't pay the letter carrier $1 million an hour. We're going to have to get involved, right? We receive no tax money. They don't pay us anything. People talking about a bailout, they gave us a loan, right? They gave us a loan. But we receive no tax dollars. So those in the public, even though I believe we should get out there in the public and say, hey, here's what we're making. Here's what other things are making. Here's what we're looking for. The most trusted department in the government, the Postal Service, your letter carrier that's in your neighborhood, that sees you every day, right? That takes care of your mail, may take care of, your mother has done something, moving out of your house, whatever letter carriers do, y'all know what I'm talking about. We are much more to the community than just putting a letter in a box. Everybody knows that. So to tell them, hey, this is what we've been making. This is what we're looking for. These are the things that are going on the workroom floor. I think that you could win public support very easily with that. But to say we're going to keep it hush-hush because we don't want Congress getting involved, to me, is straight stupidity. It just is. Because, like I said, we go to arbitration. Postal Service, we're not doing that. We're not paying y'all $50 an hour. We're not paying y'all $1,000 an hour. We're not paying y'all $1 million an hour. That's buffoonery. So we'll go to arbitration, and the arbitrator will tell y'all what you're going to make. So all these different excuses, I don't buy them. I don't buy them. To me, I think that we know that we're a failure. We have a president who's bargaining alone. I think that he is AWOL right now as we speak. I could be wrong on that. People talk to me. I think right now nobody knows where he's at. And if I'm wrong, somebody reach out to me and I'll correct that. But I think that he's AWOL again. And so they say that he's going at this alone, which doesn't surprise me. which does not surprise me, as narcissistic as this individual is. You saw that through the charges, through the Weir report. When he came on there and when Mr. Weir was talking to him, they said that he got furious at President Rolando for stepping in while he was AWOL. Got furious at him for helping. I don't get that either. But maybe we can ask Mr. Vafiedes about that. And so, yeah, takeaways on that. I think that they're selling us a bunch of shit as far as why they don't want open bargaining. None of it makes sense. Not a bit of it. Because like I said, at the end of the day, an arbitrator will tell us what we're going to do if we ask for too much, if things that we're asking for are preposterous. That will happen, right? So somebody had sent that to me, wanted me to address it, and so that's my opinion. That's how I feel on that. I don't think anybody's going to get involved. We don't receive tax money. The public will certainly, if we say we want $200 an hour and we're receiving tax dollars, they're going to say, hold up just a second. You're going up on stamps and you're paying carriers $200 an hour, but if it's reasonable, $50 an hour, whatever, whatever the ballpark is on that, I just don't think that they're going to get involved. Well, I know they're not going to get involved because, like I said, we have collective bargaining. So anyway, they wanted me to address that, so there you have it. That's my opinion on that, okay? Now, going back to the wire cages, I told you about the episode, the ergonomics episode that I was talking about, right? And a lot of discussion on social media after that, people talking about, hey, they're implementing these wire cages. They've given us these wire cages. To me, I believe that that is for the 22-minute load times. They want less trips. And I've got something that I'm going to read to you in a second that talks about that. They don't want multiple trips. They have reports now for carriers who take multiple trips to their vehicles. Like I said, they're way ahead of us on this because our business agents have dropped the ball miserably on getting ahead of these things. Talking about wire cages, those are unsafe. I don't care what anybody says, they're unsafe. We got those pumpkins, the orange hampers, that are ergonomically designed to help us with the musculoskeletal diseases. And so if we're using wire cages, they're unsafe. And if they're putting them in there now, it's for the 22-minute load time. They're doing everything humanly possible to get to this 22-minute load time, even though that is nothing about nothing. It came from nowhere. It's a made-up number. They did one station, and the average was 22 minutes, did another station, average was 22 minutes, or whatever it was, and here they come up with 22 minutes. Yeah, I gave my spill on that. I'm not going to do it again, but it takes what it takes. You should never put numbers on a memo because it takes what it takes. But you set us up when you did it. And so business agents should have been ahead of that. Too many people still asking questions on social media about it, so I know that the business agents are failing at their jobs. And so these wire cages are popping up everywhere. We're going to grieve those things. You got the ergonomics episode where I told you to get on there, copy all that stuff. But also, you got handbook P0502. Y'all write this down. Handbook P0502. I'm going to say it again in case y'all getting your pens and your paper. Handbook P0502. Mail transport equipment. Mail transport equipment. And in there, on page 31 of that handbook, page 31, this is what it talks about. Rigid wire container, exhibit 4-411. That's what we're talking about. I'm going to read this to you, okay? Rigid wire container. These are the things that they're trying to give us on the workroom floor to transport our mail, to put our mail in and push out to our vehicles. These big-ass wire containers. Dimensions and capacity. The rigid wire container is 48 inches long by 40 inches wide by 41.5 inches high, and it weighs 320 pounds empty. It has a usable capacity of 34.4 cubic feet, and the maximum load capacity is 2,000 pounds. So this bad boy is 320 pounds empty and has a load capacity of 2,000 pounds, right? General use. With a rigid wire container, the type of mail, weight, density, bulk, etc., dictates the volume of mail that can be loaded. When loading non-machinable outside NMOUs, sacks, or bundles of circulars, never load the containers more than 3/4 full because of the weight of these types of mail. To unload the contents of a wire container, use appropriate mechanical container unloaders. I'll read that again. To unload the contents of a wire container, use appropriate mechanical container unloaders. To reduce any extended reaches, use container tilters and appropriate tools, e.g. a shepherd's hook or another retrieving tool. Chalk trailers used to load or unload collapsible wire containers as soon as they are spotted at the dock. This enables the pit to load and unload the wire container in a safe and efficient manner. It is necessary to locally verify that the wire container is compatible with local dumping and unloading equipment. I'll read that again. It is necessary to locally verify that the wire container is compatible with local dumping and unloading equipment. This wire container is not compatible with all dumpers and unloaders. Such a local verification may include the load capacity of mechanical unloaders and dumpers, the feasibility of the wire container fitting inside, safe retention means, process time, etc. The wire container does not fit all USPS hamper dumpers. Storage and transportation. Store rigid wire containers in stacks of 2 to minimize storage space. A 48-foot trailer can accommodate 48 wire containers in stacks of 2. This is more efficient than the using hampers to transport mail. Always secure container movements in the vehicle with a shoring strap on the nose of the truck bed and with an additional shoring strap at the tail of the truck or trailer. Manual maneuvering. Employees must do the following tasks. Always push the container from the front or swivel wheel side. Only pull the container when maneuvering into a tow conveyor system, when hooking up to a mechanical tow device, or when positioning for operations. Never attempt to manually move double-stacked wire containers. When placing the container on the tow conveyor at the NDC, first lower the tow pin into place by lowering the lever attached to it to release the tow pin into the floor clear of the tow line. After the pin drops into the tow line, step aside. The pin engages automatically. Never walk away until the tow pin is properly engaged and the container is safely on its way. Towing. Employees must do the following tasks. Tow the wire container only with the integral tow pockets. Never attempt to tow a wire container using a coupler or a similar device across the top of the wire container or inserted through the wires on the side of the wire container. Position it behind the towing equipment with the swivel wheels closest to the towing equipment. Never attempt to tow wire containers by holding them with your hands while driving a pit. Never tow double-stack wire containers. Place a 3-prong tow bar in position with the 2 prongs in the tow pin sockets and the other prong in the tow hitch of the pit. Never tow more than 3 wire containers, whether loaded or empty, at one time with a pit. Ensure that there is sufficient clearance when towing the wire container mechanically. See handbook EL 801 for further information. Safety. Employees must do the following tasks. Never store empty wire containers or stage full wire containers in fire evacuation aisles in front of fire exit doors or outdoors. Always secure containers in the vehicle with shoring straps. Always ensure that all drop doors are closed and properly latched before moving a full container either manually or mechanically. This prevents spillage that could cause personal injury or damage to the mail. When double stacking these containers for either transport or storage, ensure that the corners are evenly in line, that the stacking saddles of the top container are squarely resting on the fixed ends of the wire. So, I'm going to put that in my file. Handbook PO 502. Nothing about city letter carrier usage. Nothing about transporting that mail to a FFV, LLV, how you do those things. Nothing about the safety of those things. These are for transporting mail that are used by machines. That's not us. So also put that in there if they're trying to use these wires, okay? Handbook PO 502, mail transport equipment. Page 31 is where you're going to start, all right? Also, when we're talking about these 60 minutes load times and different things like that, they're all over us right now with these things, right? Had some people send me some stuff, and I'm going to read it to you. I think it's, I mean, these people, they're bold in their strategy with us. And so we're going to talk about it. Here's the SWI 60-minute office play, city carriers. I may have read this before, but as things continue to come out, I may read things that I've read before. But it's SWI 60-minute office play, city carriers, 60-minute office play. You've got PM distribution operation, first clerk supervision, workload assessment, schedule properly, manage performance, observe loading, visuals, and it has these little pictures. Important steps. Ensure that PM distribution operations are completed daily, package sorting, mail distribution, and equipment staging. Key points. Sets the stage for the success of the following day AM distribution operation. Reasons for key points. Efficient clerk operation. Follow the 24-hour clock. Achieve scheduled distribution uptime daily. Now, if you ever hear a DUT, when management's like, the DUT, that's distribution uptime, okay? Ensure management's reports to work with first scheduled clerk. Key points. Distribution clerk start times must be aligned with transportation schedules, integrated operating plan, IOP. First distribution clerk should initiate AAU scanning within 15 minutes of reporting. Workload expectations must be provided to F4 personnel. Reasons for key points. Timely recording minimizes non-productive time. Achieving scheduled DUT is key to making plan. Important steps. Provide F2, F4 operational oversight. Now here's where we're going to get them, okay? Accurately measure, document F2, F4 workload, and properly enter into DOIS, CSAW. Generate PET tool, DOIS report, and review prior day's performance, city carriers. Okay, I'm going to read that again. Generate PET tool, DOIS reports, and review prior day's performance. So, let's stop right there and then I'll come back to it. When you're talking about a 60-minute office time, and I'm going to read something to you that somebody sent me, and it's going to kind of put this into perspective. This person sent me this, said, "Hey, Corey, looking for some advice. We're a small office with no in-house steward," and that happens all the time. I get these all the time. "Management has been pushing leave times hard. They claim there is no set office time, just 18 and 8 and 70, and that the M39 handbook is outdated. After talking to them, all they do now is add 10 minutes for a break and 3-minute truck inspection. I asked if there would be disciplinary actions if we didn't meet the leave time, but they would not answer. I told my guys that until we start getting wrote up, just get out when you get out. I need verbiage and sources. I continue to argue with them. Thank you for all you do for the city letter carrier." And so they say that management claims that there's no set office time, just an 18 and 8 standard and 70 pull down. And the M39 handbook is outdated. We're going to request that, an information request. You'll ask that for that, okay? We want to see where the M39 handbook has been deemed outdated. Put in an information request for that, all right? There has to be something saying that the M39 handbook is outdated, right? It's no longer relevant like the M41, okay? So put in an information request for that. When they say that there's no set office time, that it's only 18 and 8, they're basing that off of PET, okay? They're basing that off of PET because what does PET do? PET takes away all fixed office time. And if you've listened to this podcast for any period of time, we covered PET extensively JB did a master class on PET and DOIS in 3996 is the one I keep talking about. I've done things on PET. I did an entire episode on PET. What PET does is it takes away all fixed office time. It only gives you time to case. That's all it does. They'll come back like they're giving you something and they'll say, okay, we'll add a 10-minute break and 3 minutes to inspect your vehicle. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So when you talk about this 60 minutes office time, they're generating these things off of PET, where PET takes away all fixed office time. DOIS, which is inaccurate. We've already talked about the DOIS memos 1,000 times. PET and DOIS are the same. They're tools. They cannot be used to determine my leave times, right? And so when you have a manager saying, look, the new standard is there's no set office time. All you get is 18 and 8. Ask them where they're getting that from. All right? Put in an information request for it. Management stated that there is no fixed office time, even though the memos talk about it. 1983 talks about fixed office time. It's still in those memos. Ask them where they're getting it, that there is no set office time, fixed office time anymore, okay? Ask them where they're getting this 18 and 8 is now the just the 18 and 8 standard. Where are they getting that from? Is it coming from the district manager? If so, we want to interview the district manager. If it's coming from the postmaster, we want to interview the postmaster. Business agents should have had y'all equipped for this long ago. It's crazy that we're still having to deal with it. But hell, here we are. But anytime you see managers saying all there is an 18 and 8 anymore, there is no set office time, they're getting that from these PET tools and DOIS. It's being driven by the area because they don't care. They're not going to look. You're not going to file a grievance on them. They don't give a damn what. They're going to tell these fools at the local level anything, and they're going to buy it and do it. Like I said, if they win 30% of the stations, they've won. Like these small stations that don't have an in-house steward like this gentleman's talking about. So business agents, get out in the field and educate every station. Every member. Do that. Quit bitching about your members like I'm fixing to read to you. Quit being that person. Get out in the field, okay, and educate your members. But, again, sir that wrote me that, anytime they're saying 18 and 8, just like this here where it talks about key points, generate PET tool, DOIS reports, and review prior day performance, that's because they're trying to set a demonstrated performance on us, right? Same mail, you should do it in the exact same time. That's demonstrated performance. We don't have a demonstrated performance, right? We have no street standard, so that means we have no demonstrated performance. There is no street standard, but these things is that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to say, hey, you had this kind of mail yesterday, you got back at 1, you should be back at 1 today. And so it's just another means of bullying, but that's what it talks about. Generate PET tool and DOIS reports. So both of those things they know cannot set our leave time, but anyway, here we are. Identify and schedule employee performance conversations. There's your bullying. There's your harassing. Identify and schedule employee performance conversations. Make sure you tell your carriers that any performance conversation, they need to request a steward. Okay? If there's a question asked, we're being interviewed. Okay? If there is a question asked, we're being interviewed. If they're talking about my performance, we can be disciplined off of performance, right? So if there's a question asked in any of these conversations, request a steward. Make sure we're doing that. Ensure operational plan is complete prior to carrier begin tour. Did y'all hear that? Ensure operational plan is complete prior to carrier begin tour. Now, how are you going to do that? They hadn't even finished throwing our parcels yet. We hadn't even got all of our mail yet. Do y'all see what they're doing? When they say, hey, before the carriers get into your PET, get that operated because PET's going to take out all of our fixed office time. They're going to say, how much mail do they have over there by linear measurement, not by piece count, by linear measurement. They got a tub and a half. Okay. So they get, that's 20 minutes. So give them 20 minutes and they should be out of the office. If they come in at 7, they should be leaving the office at 7:20. That's PET, right? And so when it says ensure operational plan is complete prior to carrier begin tour, they're telling you there that they're being dishonest. How can you, it didn't say ensure operational plan is close to being complete. It said ensure operational plan is complete prior to carrier begin tour. Damn. They're pretty good, man. Reasons for key points: to effectively manage city carriers and ensure expectations are accurate, workload must be correctly assessed. Now, how are you going to do that if your operational plan has already been completed before I come in there? You're behind the 8 ball the second you clock in. The second you clock in, you're behind the 8 ball. So when they say to effectively manage city carriers and ensure expectations are accurate, workload must be correctly assessed, you already said that the operational plan must be completed before I come in. You don't know how many packages I've got. You don't know all the mail I have. Improve performance metrics by addressing discrepancies. Improved performance metrics. I'm going to request those performance metrics. If I'm a shop steward and they're coming at my carriers, I'm going to say, hey, I need to request their performance metrics. And if they say there's no such thing, here's their thing right here. SWI 60-minute office play. It's right there in black and white. I'm reading it. Improve performance metrics. I need to see those metrics. What are we talking about? Important steps. Align city care reporting times with within 30 minutes of DUT. Align city care reporting times within 30 minutes of the DUT. Key points. City care plan begin tour should be no earlier than 30 minutes before scheduled DUT. Greet and engage city carriers immediately after begin tour. Perform safety service huddle. Communicate daily expectations. Address correct employees who fail to make expectations. Address correct employees who fail to make expectations. Reasons for key points. Aligning city carrier start times with 80% of mail availability at carrier case minimizes non-productive time. So I would get this here. I'm going to tell Jeremy to put this up. So anytime you are filing a grievance on 80%, management comes in with all different kinds of things. Parcel uptime. Our clerks are not getting the parcels up in time, so we have to change their start time, right? All these other things outside of those things that are cited on how they can change our start times. They come in with all these different things, and arbitrators are buying it. I know Zach Morris bought it hook, line, and sinker about these parcels, even though that has nothing to do with it. He completely fucked that up. And so we got to educate them on these things, right? But it says here, aligning city carrier start times with 80% of mail availability at carrier case minimizes non-productive times. So I would get this here, this SWI 60-minute office play, and put it in every one of your grievances. If management comes in and they say, hey, the clerks aren't getting the parcels up, well, right here in y'all's thing, it says aligning city carrier start times with 80% of mail. Doesn't say anything about parcels, right? Any argument that they make, if it's outside of this 80%, because that's what it says right here, and this is their thing, it's not mine. Aligning city carrier start times with 80% of mail availability at carrier's case minimizes non-productive time. Reinforces a safety culture. Provides opportunities to issue clear, concise instructions and share expectations. Important steps. Monitor city carrier's office performance. Key points. Identify and address time-wasting practices and address deficiencies. Manage morning vehicle inspections. Ensure city carriers are achieving minimum casing standards, 18 and 8 and 70. Manage carrier office performance for efficiency. Ensure they are moving to the street timely. When a decision is made to conduct a mail count, PS Form 1838C, management must give 1 day's advance notice. Reasons for key points. Improves office efficiency. Improves city carrier work hours and return times. Improves customer service. Reduction of overtime. Maximizes route coverage opportunity vacant. Lastly, important steps. Observe city carriers loading. 22-minute national average. That just chaps my ass every time I see it. I know it's not a standard. It chaps my ass because there's only one place they got that from, these memos. Hey, when I say that's why you don't put times on memos, that's why you don't get put times on memos. It leaves room for my people to be abused, and we've been abused more than anything I've ever seen based off of this shit. Important steps. Observe city carriers loading, 22-minute national average. Key points. Minimize excessive loading. Use carrier loading checklist and observe city carriers while loading. Complete PS Form 4588 and note any deficiencies. Ensure city carriers are utilizing load truck feature for parcels. Identify and correct any time-wasting practices. Reasons for key points. Improve city carrier street efficiency. Load truck feature aligns parcel delivery sequencing, alerts the city carrier with the delivery geolocation. So I'm going to send that to Jeremy right now, and he can put that up on this episode while I'm thinking about it. All right, just send him that so that way y'all can get on this episode and find that, okay, and put that in your case files as far as the load times and start time grievances and things like that, okay? Now, out of that, different things are happening, and I'm going to read you this. This person sent this to me. He says, my full-time officer just informed me that our district is forming a 1-hour office time HIT team starting in June. Can someone wake National up? What a joke. So, and this is out of Region 15. My full-time officer just informed me that our district is forming a 1-hour office time HIT team starting in June. So that's how aggressive they are being with us about this 1-hour office time. How many of y'all's business agents have talked to y'all about the 1-hour office time and how to beat it and what to do about it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. How many of y'all's business agents have put together our HIT team to go out into the field and educate people on these 1-hour office times, 22-minute load times, all of these different things, stationary events, inactivity reports, all these different things. The Postal Service has a lot of money, and they're using it against us by forming HIT teams, as they call them, to deal with us about our 1-hour office time. They're putting programs into place about stationary times, inactivity reports, 60-minute office times, 22-minute load times. What are the business agents doing about any of that? Has y'all's business agent reached out to y'all about it and talked to you about it, how we're going to defeat it? It's the greatest single thing going on right now with a city letter carrier, right? It's the most important thing we got going on right now on the workroom floor. You see that through all these programs they're just spending millions of dollars on. That's how much they're trying to save off our backs by things that don't even exist, like a 60-minute office time. It doesn't even exist. You can't justify that. What are the business agents doing? What about some HIT teams for us? About some straight-up badasses going into different places, talking to the district managers about these things, talking to the AVPs, business agents. What are we doing about that? So putting together grievances at high levels. Talk to me about this 60-minute office time. Where are you getting that from? Well, that's a metric. Okay. So where's it coming from? What is it based off of? Can't be based off of volume because y'all set a blanket policy on a 60-minute office time. So that doesn't go by volume. So where's it coming from? It's a metric, I understand, but talk to me about it. Where did it originate from? Ops? They're worthless as fuck, ops. This is what they do. Of course, we did our sales in with a 22-minute load time. We put that on a memo, so we know where that's coming from. Stationary times, right? Inactivity reports. Okay, so here's some more stuff generated off of that. More things that they're using against us. This person sent me this and he says, hey, just finished listening to your latest podcast and want to share this picture with you. Management brings them into the office to address the inactivity time. That's your stationary time, right? Then they make them sign, and on the comments they put discussion. Now, first off, grieve this form. It's a locally generated form. Grieve this form, have them cease and desist doing it. Okay? They're having carriers come in, they're addressing inactivity time, then they make them sign this form, and on the comments they put discussion. Okay, and here's the form. It says street inactivity discussion sign-in sheet. It's got the employee, it's got the route number, inactivity time, sign in, and it's got discussion. It says discussion with employee, discussion with employee, discussion with employee. Employee refused to sit down, something like, I can't, it's very blurry. But anyway, grieve these forms, but that's where we are. That's where we're at. Street inactivity discussion sign-in sheet. Listen to me, stewards, business agents who aren't doing shit. Educate your members, don't sign shit. I'm not required to sign anything. Don't sign it. Refuse to sign it. Okay? Grieve the form. It's a locally generated form. It's not a PS form. It's something they pulled out of their ass. Grieve that form. Right? And have them tear up the form. Have them destroy it. Any forms that they've had signed, as part of my remedy, I'm going to have them destroy the form. And so this is something that's based off of what's going on. Here's the most egregious thing I've seen that somebody sent me. It says, morning, Corey. Just wanted to share this picture of the new flowchart district pushed out to our offices yesterday, and this is something they're putting up on the workroom floor. And it's absolutely crazy. All right, so this is something that they're putting on the workroom floor, and it says, it's a bunch of pictures. It says, value stream map, LDC, 21 AM office, start. And it's got a scanner. It says, begin tour 30 minutes prior to DUT. Now, you'll notice that a lot of these things coincide with what I just read you. Office time thing I just read to you. So begin tour 30 minutes prior to DUT. 5-minute safety huddle. It's got a picture of a manager talking to us. 3-minute vehicle check. 3-minute vehicle check. Now, do y'all remember that vehicle checklist I gave y'all, I showed y'all the other day? Read those 26 or 27 items, what to do. Now, can y'all do that in 3 minutes? I can't even walk out to my vehicle and back in 3 minutes, let alone do some checklist. So that right there is wrong. 3-minute vehicle check. How are you going to check your vehicle in 3 minutes? Case flats first, 8 pieces per minute. Set expectations within 15 minutes of begin tour. Now, that's based off of PET. Now, when PET first came out, if y'all remember, if those of y'all who have been here for a little bit, when PET first came out, that was the tool, right? It was a discussion, supposed to have this discussion with us based off of PET. And they would come around and they'd say, hey, based off of this, you're looking at being done at 1 o'clock because it takes all your fixed office time away. And you'd be like, well, no, I'm going to need 8 hours. Well, no, this says 2 o'clock. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to need 8 hours. That's the same thing. Set expectations within 15 minutes to begin tour. Now, when are we supposed to let them know if we're going to need a 3996? After the last dispatch of mail, right? And so this here is they're trying to circumvent our reporting requirements when they say set expectations within 15 minutes to begin tour. They're basing that solely off of PET. Return missed throws. Office break 10 minutes if applicable. Withdrawal 1 to 5 minutes total time. Case mail 18 letters, 8 flats per minute. Accountables 1.6 minutes total time. Pull down 70 pieces per minute. Hot case pull in carrier's line of travel. Scan hot case, move to street, finish. Then it's got the value stream, LDC, 22 street. So they're talking about 22 minutes, right? Start, load vehicle within 20 minutes. Load vehicle within 20 minutes. So they didn't even give us the 22 minutes. They're saying load vehicle within 20 minutes. Return empty hamper. Scan depart to route. Geofence break within 1.5 hours from begin tour. Does all this stuff sound familiar? Now, these things are going on nationwide. This is rampant nationwide. What are our business agents doing? What kind of education are y'all getting on any of it? Has anybody said anything? Your branch president, your shop stewards, business agents, national, anybody, janitor, shit, geofence break within 1.5 hours from begin tour. So regardless of what kind of mail you got, they've already determined that. We saw that in that report. They've already determined your day before you even clock on. Before you even get to work, they've already determined your day. You got an hour in the office regardless of mail. You got a 20-minute load now. And you've got to break this geofence within 1.5 hours before you even clock in. You got to break this geofence within 1.5 hours. Begin delivery as per M41 guidelines. 30-minute lunch break within 6 hours of begin tour. Lunchtime delivery stops until delivery resumes. Resume delivery, 10-minute street break if applicable. Complete delivery within route base street time. Y'all hear that? Complete delivery within route's base street time. That's a violation, right? Because we have no street standard. What are they wanting to do? They're wanting demonstrated performance. They're wanting demonstrated performance. So whatever your base street time is, complete that every day. Now look, when you get the PET tool, if you request a PET tool, and you say, I want to see today's PET tool, they're going to have a base street time. It never changes. If you say, I want to see the PET tool for the last 2 months, same street time. It gives the same street time. It's demonstrated performance. And that's how PET works. It takes out all your fixed office time. It gives you the bare minimum. And then every day is the same on the street. No day is different. We have no street standard, but PET gives us a street standard. It gives us a route's base street time. That's demonstrated performance. So complete delivery within route base street time. Return directly to the office. Unload the vehicle within 5 minutes. So for some reason we're losing 2 minutes even off these stupid ass memos. Because it said 7 minutes in the memos, didn't it? Hell, they're saying unload vehicle within 5 minutes. They're still trying to steal from us based off something that doesn't exist. Deposit outgoing mail 2 minutes. Replace empty equipment 2 minutes. Move back to the office 30 seconds. Finish. Value stream map LDC 21 p.m. office. Return from street scan 30 seconds. Backdoor management 2 minutes. Deposit endorsed markup mail, 30 seconds. Return accountables, keys and scanners, 2 minutes. End tour, 30 seconds. Do you know how much that is? Count this with me. 2 minutes plus 2 minutes plus 30 seconds plus 30 seconds. What is that? 5 minutes. 5 minutes PM office time. Right there. Says value stream map LDC 21 p.m. office. Start, return from street scan 30 seconds. Backdoor management 2 minutes. Deposit endorsed markup mail 30 seconds. Return accountables, keys and scanner 2 minutes. End tour 5 minutes. This whole thing is a violation of Every M document we've got, just about. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So these things are rampant. Had this person send me this and said, hey, talk to the business agent about these stationary times. He said he didn't give a shit about the stationary time because the carriers are out there just playing games. That's what your business agent said. Oh, shit. This person sent me this. It's an email. Grand Rapids. Team. Officers that are selected are to perform loading time observations to the specific routes based on load time variance. Now, what is that? What's a load time variance? If it takes what it takes, 22 minutes. Multi-loading instances. How many trips are they making to load? So if they're making too many trips, give them wire containers. Cut down on those trips. That's what that is. Multi-loading instances. Are they taking too long to load because they're taking too many trips back and forth? Well, let's cut down on that. Give them all wires. Let's put their health at risk, their safety at risk, because we have numbers to meet. We have numbers to meet, so make sure you put the carrier's safety at risk, because our numbers will always be the most important. The carrier's safety, we don't give a shit about that. We've got to meet these fake-ass metrics, 22 minutes load time. If they're not meeting this fake-ass metric of 22 minutes, put them in harm's way. Put their safety at risk. If they're not meeting these made-up parameters that are based off of nothing, put their safety at risk. Give them wire hampers. Give them wire cages. Right? We'll teach them a lesson. Excessive time from street move to geo depart. So there's another one. Another person sent me this. He says, my sources tell me that the 22-minute load parameter was calculated using the average time between two monitored offices, one that Amazon and one that didn't. Makes no sense and shouldn't be part of our TRAP process. I argue with my partner every day during inspections. It takes what it takes. EAS thinks those times are gospel. Those parameters were never meant for management. They were meant for TRAP. How did they adopt that into their lexicon? This is my training. So these times on these memos that were meant for TRAP, do you think that it stayed with TRAP based off what y'all seeing? That's why you don't put times on memos. That's why you don't put times on memos. Here's another one. Are you aware of this new scanner feature that locks a carrier out after stationary events and battery changes? It requires the carrier to take the scanner to a supervisor to put in a password to unlock it. I've not seen that, but this person said that if you have a stationary event, you've got to go back to the supervisor to get a battery change. Then you have to explain your stationary event. I've not seen. If anybody else is seeing that, let me know. You talking about that's a violation of Article 3 to me, management's rights, when it talks about maintain the efficiency of the operations entrusted to you. How are you maintaining the efficiency if you're telling me to come back to the office all the time? That's not very efficient to me, based off of something you can't do. And then he's got the pictures. This MDD TR device is in lockdown. Please return to the device to a USPS facility as soon as possible. So he backed his shit up with proof. This MDD TR device is in lockdown. Please return the device to a USPS facility as soon as possible. So damn. I'm going to read this thing. I was telling you about this business agent that went after this district manager. And it's one of the more savage things I've ever seen. Okay? I'm going to say his name, and if he takes offense to it, I apologize. It's badass. It's badass. And then I'm going to read you another one that's the exact opposite. Okay? It's the tale of two business agents. And then I'm going to read this article that this person from National sent out. But I talked a few weeks ago about management going out to the street, taking pictures. and measuring our mail and all these things. It's happening everywhere. So this business agent, he gets a hold of National, right? And there's 2 emails. And the second one, he goes after this district manager specifically, and then puts together a PowerPoint. That is as savage a thing as I've ever seen in my life. I've seen some savage shit. This is it went straight to the top of savagery. And so here's a business agent that's had enough. And when I say stand up, somebody just stand the fuck up and get in this fight with us. Here's one that went to the head of the pack. So this is from Eddie Davidson, Region 9 MBA. It says, he's got it to several people. Subject, street observations, photos, measuring of the mail. Good afternoon. This office, this is some good shit, man. I've been asking for this. I don't think this guy listens to me, but anyway, I've been begging our business agents, do something. Now, people, what do you want me to do? Do anything. I don't care what you do. Do anything. Here's one that said enough is enough. So, good afternoon. This office was notified a couple of weeks ago about management going out to letter carriers on their routes and measuring the mail, taking pictures, and interrogating them during their performance of their duties. Thereafter, we obtained a USPS PowerPoint out of Texas from one of the branches in Florida, in which pictures of letter carriers, measurements of mail, and information were input and disseminated to other USPS managers. Obviously, this is completely unacceptable and is in direct violation with multiple articles of the National Agreement, handbooks and manuals, and countless Step 4 memorandums. After hearing about these tactics and obtaining the PowerPoint from a branch president in Florida, this office elevated the matter to NELC headquarters. After receiving this information from Region 9 NELC headquarters, had discussions with USPS headquarters about this issue. As a result, I was just informed by Executive Vice President Paul Barner and USPS Director Contract Administration James Lloyd that this practice will be discontinued immediately. James Lloyd stated he wanted to know if management continued to engage in this behavior moving forward. Accordingly, please make sure you let this office know if local management continues down this path and performs any more of these type of quote-unquote observations. We will need the following information for each observation: the installation, the office, the supervisor manager who conducted the observation, carrier and route conducted on, and date it occurred. Regardless of the assurance from the USPS, Region 9 will be putting out a grievance starter and more information to follow in the next few days to address grievances on this issue. In addition to contacting this office, please ensure the appropriate grievances are filed. Unfortunately, instead of managing in accordance with the applicable contractual provisions and handbooks and manuals, management has resorted to intimidation and bullying. No matter the shape or form of management's harassment, this office will not stand by and allow the letter carriers to be subjected to it. In solidarity, Cliff Eddie Davidson, Jr. And so, one thing to note, James Lloyd and Paul Barner. Now, James Lloyd's the one who's pimping Barner right now with all these things. Lloyd has made Barner his bitch. Okay, that's who that is. They're going to all these DRTs, and he's walking Barner around on a leash. And so I don't trust any of them. But that's the initial email. Okay? Here's the second one. From Eddie Davidson, Region 9. Observation, USPS falsification, USPS throwing away mail. Good afternoon. Now listen to this now, because he's fixing to break shit down contractually for this district manager. Okay? He's breaking this stuff down contractually. This is how you do it. And I'm going to read all of it. Good afternoon. It has come to my attention that you have given instructions to your managers and supervisors under your authority to conduct street supervision in an improper manner. Management has been going out on carriers' routes and taking pictures of letter carriers, their surroundings, and of the mail. Management is measuring the mail and counting packages as well during these observations. Thereafter, management is creating PowerPoint presentations and placing these pictures therein. In a thinly veiled effort to harass carriers into skipping breaks and lunches, let me ask you this. In today's age, would you feel comfortable with someone taking pictures of you or a family member, in some cases from behind, with their cell phone? Being a district manager, surely you're aware of the contractual violations these actions are causing. Specifically, there are several contractual provisions that prohibit the photographing of employees in that fashion. Moreover, if management wishes to count the mail to determine the efficiency of your letter carrier, it must be done in the office and in accordance with Handbook M39 Section 141.2, which reads, Special Office Mail Counts. When management desires to determine the efficiency of a carrier in the office, a count of mail may be made. The carrier must be given 1 day's advance notification of this special count. Use PS Form 1838C to record count and time items concerned. The carrier must be advised of the result of the office mail count. Yet, under your direction, management is counting the mail on the street, which there are no contractual provisions which support such a count. Likewise, carriers have not been given 1 day's advance notice, nor have they been advised of the results of the count. More importantly, the reason for a count of mail is to determine the efficiency of a carrier. However, as I assume you're aware, there is no standard on the street, which has been codified in several Step 4 memorandums noted below. M360 provides in part, these grievances involve disciplinary actions as a result of route management. In keeping with the principle of a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, it is understood that there is no set pace at which a carrier must walk and no street standard for walking. That's M360. M304 supplies in part. Each of these cases involve a disciplinary action as a result of route management. In keeping with the principle of a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, it is understood that there is no set pace at which a carrier must walk and no street standard for walking. Accordingly, there is no efficiency to be determined on the street as there is no standard. In the past, management has attempted to apply some made-up metric known as demonstrated performance. However, this is a bastardization of the contractual provisions. Again, there is no standard on the street for a letter carrier. Accordingly, the only reason for these types of actions, i.e. photograph sessions, is nothing more than harassment. Handbook M41 Section 16, which states, carriers may expect to be supervised at all times while in performance of their daily duties. Although carriers should expect to be supervised during their daily duties, management must comply with the proper procedures for conducting street supervision. Handbook M39 Section 134.12 and 134.3 provides the methods for which observations on the street are to be completed. 134.12, accompanying carriers on the street is considered an essential responsibility of management and one of the manager's most important duties. Managers should act promptly to correct improper conditions. A positive attitude must be maintained by the manager at all times. 134.3, criteria for need. Certain criteria may call attention for individual street supervision when overtime or auxiliary assistance is used frequently on a route, foot, motorized, parcel post, collection relay. When a manager receives substantial evidence of loitering or other actions or lack of action by one or more employees, or when it is considered to be in the interest of the service, the manager may accompany the carrier on the street to determine the cause or meet the carrier on the route and continue until such a time as the manager is satisfied. No advance notice to the carrier is required. As stated, street supervision mandates management either accompany carriers on the street or meet the carrier on the route and continue in such time the manager is satisfied. Nowhere in this section does it permit management to photograph carriers, mail, or anything else for that matter. Moreover, while there is no requirement for management to advise the carrier in advance of the street supervision, Handbook M39 Section 134.21 and 134.22 explain how management must conduct proper street supervision, which reads 134.2 Techniques. 134.21 The manager must maintain an objective attitude in conducting street supervision and discharge this duty in an open and above-board manner. These sections detail management's obligation to conduct street supervision in a straightforward and upfront manner. Unfortunately, management has failed to honor these contractual mandates. Instead, they're attempting to harass and intimidate carriers into speeding up and risking mistakes and the carrier's safety. I have elevated this matter to the headquarters level, and we were told this matter is going to be handled by the USPS headquarters labor. Also, we were told that you advise management on a telecom to continue these harassment tactics regardless of what headquarters advises you. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to stop this issue before it escalates further. Regardless, we will ensure that branches are filing the applicable grievances on every single one of these non-contractual observations. In addition, the appropriate labor charges will be filed and pursued to their conclusion. It seems like a waste of time and resources to harass letter carriers on the street, especially when there is no contractual language that permits street observations in a specific manner. There are bigger issues for the Postal Service to worry about. In fact, right now, you have a supervisor working in the Orlando, Florida Sand Lake Post Office that threw mail in the garbage in an apartment complex, yet he is continuing to work. If you're not aware of this matter, here's the YouTube link to the video footage. The steward inquired about this issue, and they were told that management is not going to take any action against him because his management team has his back. With the bad press the Postal Service is receiving right now, I would think a YouTube video of a supervisor throwing away mail may take precedence over harassing letter carriers for doing their job as they're required to do. Similarly, management in the Lakeland, Florida main post office falsified official USPS documents by knowingly inputting false mail volumes, advo sequence mail, into DOIS. In addition, management sent an email of false information to the company that pays postage for the mailing of the advos to have them throw that mail in the garbage. I know your district likes to disseminate information into PowerPoint presentations accordingly. I have created a PowerPoint on these issues for ease of use. Okay, let me say it again. In addition, I know your district likes to disseminate information into PowerPoint presentations. Accordingly, I have created a PowerPoint on these issues for ease of use. Surely, these serious issues won't be ignored, especially with the bad press the Postal Service has received in recent days. To conclude, this is going to create a huge increase in grievance activity and unnecessary cost to the Postal Service. But rest assured, my office will spare no expense to ensure the city letter carriers are treated with dignity and respect and that their contractual rights are protected. I would welcome a meeting with you to address these issues. Thanks in advance. Cliff Eddie Davidson. And my man has put together a PowerPoint and sent it out of this supervisor throwing away mail. And it's narrated in this picture. Here's the supervisor doing this here. In this picture, here's the supervisor doing this. In this picture, it shows him throwing the mail away. So my man said, hey, I know y'all like PowerPoints. I made one for you. That's as savage as some shit as I've ever seen in my life, man. How about that? Hey, I know y'all like PowerPoints. I made one for you. Check this one out. And disseminate this around the district. It's of you, your people, throwing mail away. And y'all said y'all weren't going to do anything about it because he's one of yours. I got this PowerPoint for you. It's your supervisor throwing away deliverable mail. Y'all aren't going to do anything about that. But what you're worried about is street standards that don't exist based off of things that you can't use. Going out and harassing carriers for doing their job. Doing nothing to your own who's throwing away deliverable mail. I know everything. And by the way, if you want to talk to me, I'll meet you somewhere. Let me say, that's a business agent. You want to talk about what a business agent's supposed to be? That is what a business agent is supposed to be. To me, when I talk about business agent, that's what it's supposed to be like. A hellraiser. I've said that before, right? What I want a business agent to be is a hellraiser for the city letter carrier. You put them first. You think that guy was putting the letter carrier first? Do you think that business agent said, hey, today I choose violence? I woke up and chose violence on behalf of the city letter carrier. That's a business agent. Business agents, if you want to know how to do things, if you want to know how to be a business agent, Exhibit A, Eddie Davidson, Region 9. That's obliterating management. That's going beast mode on management. And the savagery of putting together a PowerPoint of a supervisor stealing mail and sending it to the district manager saying, hey, I know y'all like PowerPoints. Check this one out. Savage. That shit. I love that shit, man. I love that shit. That's a business agent to me. We'll spare no expense. You want to harass us? Come on. Come on. Here's what's going to be waiting for you. Now, here's the tale of two business agents. Somebody sent me this. Now, here's a business agent that sent out a newsletter to all the presidents in the region. And this is his position on the backlog. What you also conveyed to me was that there are little squeaky voices within our ranks that want to blame the union for this congestion, talking about the backlog at the DRT. If that's your position, guess what? You're on management's side, because that is the same argument I hear from management every time we sit down to resolve cases. So congratulations on pleasing management. Maybe your supervisor will give you an award. If you're union, then why blame the union for management's violations of the collective bargaining agreement? Whether that's 10 or 10,000 grievances, our wrongs must be addressed in a manner that we bargain for in a fair and reasonable way, and not what management wants to dictate to us. I'm sure they'll provide you with a Form 991. And quite frankly, if someone did take this position, I find it rather insulting to every union steward and activist that is involved in the grievance procedure every day, protecting the four corners of our contract. So here's a business agent that took the opposite approach. People were complaining about the backlog and grievances, right? They're bringing it to his attention, and he calls them squeaky voices. Now, this business agent works for the squeaky voices, right? And we pay his salary. And so instead of saying, hey, here's the issue that we have. Here's the issue that we have with these backlog of grievances. Management's refusing to move the grievances. So we've not initiated a national level grievance on management's intentionally stalling the grievance procedure with these backlog of grievances, like we have 5,000 in New Orleans backlogged at the DRT. So rather than coming out there with some kind of suggestion or remedy to that, we have a business agent saying, hey, you need to go into management. You're complaining about this backlog of grievances, the squeaky voices. You need to go into management, because that's what management says. Rather than getting off your ass and doing something about it to address these backlog and grievances. Because what we can't do is sit there and do nothing. That's what we can't do. And you can't say we're doing everything we can. No, we're not, because it's not fixed. If we're doing everything we can, it would be fixed. If we're doing everything we can. Because it's unacceptable. Each grievance is by a city letter carrier. So it hurts the city letter carrier. It doesn't hurt the business agent. They can sit there for fucking years. Backlogged. The business agent didn't file the grievance. We have a carrier that is waiting on some kind of remedy based off of a grievance that they have, and it's backlogged at the DRT to the tune of 5,000 grievances just in New Orleans. And what are we doing besides putting out these stupid-ass newsletters saying squeaky voices going to management? How about this? How about get off your fucking ass and do something about the backlog of grievances in this region? Do that. We don't want to hear excuses. We don't want to hear all this bullshit about going to management. Do your fucking job for once. There's a difference in business agents there. One says, hey, I'm going to take management to task. I'm going to put my foot square in their ass. I woke up today and chose violence. And here's another. Squeaky voices going to management. We're doing the best we can. Excuses. That's all it is. Excuses. We need a change in a lot of these business agents' offices. They have resigned to the fact that they're fixing to retire. And they have thrown in the towel. They've thrown in it. Some are having to run that did not want to run. They had planned on retiring by now. And they're forced to run again to try to win so that they can hand that over to somebody else. So they are bitter. They are not happy. And I know that for a fact because I was told that. And if anybody wants to challenge me on that, I will say names, okay, about those business agents that were planning on retiring a year ago. And because people said they were going to run for business agent, are forced to now wait it out and run again. They've thrown in the towel. And who is it that's damaged by that? The city letter carrier. Who is it that is damaged by the backlog of cases at the DRT? The city letter carrier. So you can say whatever you want to about squeaky voices, about going to management, about this is something management would say. You can say whatever you want to about that. I say this. Get off your fucking ass and fight for the city letter carrier and do something about it. Do something about this backlog that is crippling the grievance procedure. If it has to be nationally addressed, let's address it. The non-compliance is an epidemic right now. People send me things. I'll read one to you. I'll read two to you, what people sent me. And I guess this is management's fault as well. I'm going to guess. Shit is going downhill here in this state. Stewards meeting last night, we were made aware that our business agent's office is telling us we cannot ask for escalated remedies. We had to prove the egregious violation through a year's worth of grievances. Stewards are pissed. The branch president tried to end the meeting even after multiple people wanted to speak. He even pulled out the guilt trip tactic by saying, I know not everyone likes me. I'm like, fucker, this is about policy, not how we feel about you. By the end of the meeting, he said, go ahead and ask for escalated remedies, but it's not going anywhere. Brother, we are getting kicked in the teeth and our union is not innocent. Y'all hear that? The business agent's office is telling us we cannot ask for escalated remedies until a year worth of grievances. They are bailing management out with these backlogs. And yet you got a business agent saying what? Going to management, you squeaky voices. We are bailing. Management has bitch slapped us at the national level. I've said this over and over again. They have bitch slapped us at the national level with this cease and desist. Now they have brought the grievance procedure to a crawl with his backlog of grievances. And so rather than us mounting up and fighting, rather than that happening, rather than us going nationally to do something, we cave. We cave with a cease and desist. We cave with this kind of language here. The business agent's office is telling us we cannot ask for escalated remedies. We had to prove the egregious violation through a year's worth of grievances. What kind of stupid ass shit is that? But that is bailing management out. Here's another thing somebody sent me, and then I'm going to get into this article. Remedies, contract. Now, this is stuff that they're teaching now at the union classes. These are things that they're teaching. It's a PowerPoint. Remedies need to have 3 things in contract cases. Cease and desist. Stop the violation from continuing, happening again. If management won't agree to a cease and desist, try phrasing it a different way. Use strong, enforceable language. Y'all know what that is? Must comply, will comply, shall comply, please comply. We beg you to comply. If management won't agree to a cease and desist, bend, cave. Try phrasing it a different way. Give in to management. Cave into management. Bend for management. Anything after if management won't agree to a cease and desist, send it up. Anything other than that is bending and caving. When I do training, it's going to say, if management won't agree to a cease and desist, send that grievance to me. End of story. I'm not going to say try phrasing it a different way. You are bending. You have been conditioned. Our union has been conditioned. Unlike anything I've ever seen, they have conditioned us. Have you ever seen anything like this before? People that have been here for a while. Have you ever seen it like this in the past? The conditioning that's gone on? I've not. We have it in our training now. If management won't agree to a cease and desist, who are they? They don't file a grievance. I want a cease and desist. Management, they don't file this grievance here. I do under Article 15. I file a grievance. I want you to quit violating the contract against me. Y'all have been conditioned up there at National. Y'all have been conditioned at the business agent's office. Y'all have been conditioned by the Postal Service. One thing the city letter carrier will never do is be conditioned. We're fighters down here. We will continue to do that. Educate your people, business agents, every single one. Educate them on how to fight these small offices that don't have stewards like I read to you earlier. Educate them to be fighters, to be warriors. It'll make your job a lot easier. And quit putting out training. Telling people if management doesn't agree to a cease and desist, let's look at an alternative language. Don't do that. That's bitch ass. Don't do that. Okay? I'm going to read this article to you, and it's bizarre. To me. It may not be to y'all. Y'all may not care. And it's from somebody who has never paid a penny of union dues. Somebody who has never put a letter in a box unless it was their personal bills. Somebody has never put on a Postal Service uniform. Somebody has never driven a Jeep, LLV, FFV, van. Somebody who's not, like I said earlier, not sweat one bead of sweat in the summer, has not been attacked by one single dog, has not had any kind of confrontation with management on this workroom floor. It is someone who is hired by Brian Renfro, and it's his chief of staff. And it starts out, NEOC, we have a problem. We. I take offense to that when we say we have a problem, because who is we? Like I said, if you're working for my union, you should have done what I have done, what my brothers and sisters have done. I told y'all about them paying 6 figures to a guy who played guitar in a local band. Getting a job up there, has never done union work in his life, but I'm paying his salary now with my dues by me going out and delivering mail in this heat now, doing things on these workroom floors, taking this harassment and bullying. I'm paying his salary who's played a guitar. I have a problem with that. Maybe some people don't. I do. I have a problem with somebody who's never worked at the Postal Service as a city letter carrier, never done anything that we've done, saying, we have a problem. We. When I hear we, I think of light blue. That's what I think of when somebody says we. Light blue on this floor. who's done that time. And by their actions, they have been elevated through the union by people who said, hey, look, you have gone above and beyond to represent. So we want you in one of these high positions so that you can represent. Not somebody who is doing something else and got a job by one of the more corrupt presidents we've ever had saying, we have a problem. But anyway, the NALC membership is as diverse as the communities we serve. It's a point of great pride I take in working for this union. Every race, creed, age, and political belief system is represented in this second largest bargaining unit in the country. At the very core of this union is a commitment to working in solidarity to protect one another. We do so by ensuring that we have a healthy employer and network in order to provide good jobs to all of our members, no matter what they look like, whom they love, or what they believe. Full stop. Currently, there are more than 100,000 female members of our union. In the Postal Service, women make up nearly 40% of the overall workforce. This number continues to grow, which is encouraging. However, general attitudes towards treatment of and behavior towards women by some are still stuck in the past. In my 20-plus years working with elected members of Congress, I've seen and experienced some things that are deeply offensive and without question were sexist, misogynistic, harassing. See Merriam-Webster definitions below. So she's explaining all these things to us because we don't know shit. So she put in the Merriam-Webster dictionary definitions below for us yokels that don't know shit. In my early non-NALC days working with the Old Boys Club, I actually had a member of Congress from Texas ask me to fetch him a cup of coffee at a fundraiser, despite my being there as a guest representative, the union I worked for at the time. While a seemingly small but significant slight, I did not get this guy a cup of coffee. While this is probably the least offensive interaction of this type I have experienced as a woman in Washington, it has stayed with me. These types of behaviors take many forms, all of which are absolutely unacceptable, especially now at this pivotal and contentious time for our union. These days, as I engage more NALC members than members of Congress, I've been shocked by how many members of this union of all genders have experienced similar behaviors by fellow members, many in positions of authority. It is equally hard to hear about women pulling up the ladder behind them to the detriment of other women trying to grow and rise together. It is easy to see how this results in talented potential leaders deciding that limiting their involvement in the union is better. With this in mind, silence is not an option when a vocal minority seeks to undermine the very rights this union vows to protect. As the first female chief of staff of NALC, it is my duty to call out the assumptions, insinuations, comments, and general disrespect I've witnessed and experienced directly, as distasteful as it is. This tells me we have a major problem, even in 2024, that must be brought to light and resolved. There is a necessary evolution that can only begin with the leadership of this union. Assumptions based on race, gender, appearance, personal preferences, age, and weight have no place here. To be clear, if you are reading this and are in a position of authority, you must be cognizant of your words and actions to create space free of inappropriate behavior. Do not ask someone who reports to you for coffee, a date, or anything that creates an unbalanced power dynamic. Imbalance creates discomfort, violates boundaries, and poisons a healthy work environment. I never viewed NALC as a union divided until I witnessed and experienced the worst among us since April of 2023, when supporting President Renfro's recovery from alcoholism. I never fathomed the malicious actions, accusations, and derogatory comments I would endure just by virtue of my gender and my role as a professional for this union. We have to put into practice what we preach. No member should ever be targeted for putting their health first, particularly not by their own union. It takes courage and strength to stand where our president stands, yet some of our members find it appropriate not only to disparage him, but to ridicule his recovery by sending a care package with sugar purporting to be drugs, a bottle of alcohol, and a note. It left me wondering where our humanity has gone. This is not who we are. We can and will do better. This year, President Renfro launched NALC's Emergency Response Team, ERT, which will train our members to support other members in distress or crisis. The ERT is at the core of who we are. I'm excited and encouraged to see the replication of this support via development of a long overdue Women's Committee and a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion program. We have so much to learn together as a union, and I intend to use my time here to ensure that we are a union free of discrimination, harassment, sexism, ageism, and misogyny. It's beyond time. So that was an article that I thought odd. And here's why I think it odd. It's because this individual, it comes running to Renfro's defense, the one who hired her. And she talks about women pulling up the ladder behind them, talks about how our leaders should be, and doesn't mention anything about the president calling a female a bitch. I have a problem with that. Doesn't mention anything about the president that she's defending calling a female president of a local branch a bitch after he attempted to strong-arm her. I didn't hear that. I also didn't hear anything about females going to President Rolando saying, hey, I cannot travel with President Renfro, or at the time, Executive Vice President Renfro, because of his behavior towards me. I can't travel with him. I didn't hear anything about her saying, President Rolando said that there was numerous women that came forward about the inappropriate conduct of Mr. Renfro towards those females. A womanizer. I didn't see that. I didn't hear that. I heard vague, broad, casting a broad net of women, how they're treated and whatnot. I can't see it came to the defense of Mr. Renfro going to rehab, and I applaud him for that. What about the attitude that he's had since then about the denial of those things? It never happened. I was never drunk, like the police said. All these things that were hidden from us over time to make sure that he got into office. Just in case part of the Carrier Craft said, we don't want that person in office. We don't know if they are fully rehabilitated, if they've beaten those demons already. And we're at a very critical time right now because of our contract negotiations. So maybe it's not best that he given the opportunity right now. They hid that from us so that those things wouldn't come up. Viewpoint's a viewpoint. She has her right to her viewpoint. First off, when you say we have a problem, you are not we. City letter carriers are we. Those that have done this job are we. That's who we are. You may work for the NALC because Mr. Renfro hired you. You've not paid a penny in dues. You've not dropped one bead of sweat on the ground delivering mail. I have problems with people, whoever they are, going to lecture us on the workroom floor based off of something that you say you've seen. You start with the president of this union, and then you come back and write another article. You start with him first, and then you come and lecture us on different things. You've got a misogynist up there as the president. Define those things to him. You've got a sexist up there at the president's office. Define those things to him. You've got an enabler and a denier up there at the president's office. You define those things to him. He is the worst of the worst that we have. The treatment he has towards women is unlike anything I've ever seen. To attempt to strong-arm someone is bad enough. It's using your position as influence. But then when that doesn't work, to call them a bitch, call a female a bitch. And then I'm going to be lectured by someone who has never done our job. To make women so uncomfortable, they have to go to the president to say, hey, I can no longer fly with this individual. I don't even want to be on the same flight with him. Making passes at married men's wives. And what are we doing here with this article? Like I said, you write what you want to write, but it's out there in the public, so I'm going to address it. It wasn't sent to somebody else. It's in the public. So I'm going to address it. I'm sure she meant well. But we have a problem here. And it's the president of this union. All of these things that you say you despise, all of those things are your boss. You want to talk about care packages and stuff? I didn't see it. I've not seen pictures of it. I don't know you. I got to take your word that that's what happened. People shouldn't be doing that. But you have someone there that is non-apologetic, that has done all these things, proven through the Weir report. Maybe you should start there. Read the Weir report. Start there. But to come out and say no member should be targeted for putting their health first, particularly not by their own union. It takes courage and strength to stand where our president stands. It left me wondering where our humanity has gone. I know a president down in Alabama that's got that same question. She's got that same question. I know there are a lot of females up at National that have those same questions. I know a Mr. Henry who's got those same questions. That's my soapbox. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I've been wrong once before. But I don't know. Just somebody who, like I said, it's like a clerk coming in and becoming a 204B telling me how to do my job. You've never done it before. You don't know nothing about the city letter carrier other than what you've been told. You've not put on one pair of union shoes. Not one time you put a uniform on. You've not stood in a thunderstorm, a snowstorm, a hailstorm. You've not sweat. You've not put on 18 layers of clothes to deliver mail. You've not had confrontations with one supervisor or manager on this floor. You don't know me. You don't know us. And you are not we. That's to me. All right. Hey, that's it. I'm going to have Mr. Noble on Friday. Okay. May put it up Friday, may put it up Sunday. I'll let y'all know. And then we'll have Mr. Vafiades on maybe after that. Okay. Y'all have a fantastic week. I'll talk to y'all later. 2 hours. Good God Almighty. 2 hours. I'll talk to y'all next Sunday with Mr. Noble. All right.